Welcome into the live stream here for McCready and Siskey. This is episode 8. We're powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. Tyler's pulling out a big bag all of a sudden. I have no idea what's going to happen. Get our audio started here in just a minute, so give people a little bit longer to jump into the stream.
Just had to get a pen, man.
You just needed a pen.
Just needed a pen.
I just didn't know. People start grabbing bags and pulling through things. You don't know what's about to go down.
Make you nervous?
No, not nervous. I just didn't know what was coming. Just didn't know what to expect. You doing all right?
Man, you know what? If I was any better, I'd quit. I've already done that, though, so doing pretty good.
That's good.
Doing pretty good.
That's good. You got a big day ahead of you after this? What else you got on your docket?
I'm going to go home, close it up for the day, I think. We did Oregon this morning, so I took up a majority of the morning.
You say you did Oregon. That means you had a Zoom call.
Yes, I had a Zoom with the staff. Yeah, had a Zoom call with the
Was it like Debbie Does Dallas?
No, this is a family show, remember?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, sure it is.
Yeah, leave the women and the children at home, folks. No, we did Oregon this morning at 10:30. Had the whole staff. So
how'd that go?
Went good.
Good.
Very good. Dad will be happy. He's probably smiling. Dad likes when I do good.
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll lead into that with this in a second. So you gave me a place to start. All right, I'm gonna get the audio started here, and we'll get rolling. Welcome into episode number 8 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. You might guess that's Tyler Siskey with you here on a Monday right at 2 o'clock, which is, look at us, on time and stuff.
How about that?
Efficient. We are brought to you by Rain. I'll tell you a little bit about our friends at Rain because
45 minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
I had to go ahead and go. I'm ready to go.
Say. Brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams, natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits, achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel.
By the way, I want to thank all the fans. Got a report back. I hope my man's listening, Bob Brucato, who's a stud at Monster Energy, who I deal with, called me probably about an hour ago.
Yeah.
And he pulled, just for shits and giggles, he pulled the
There's one.
There's one. Okay. Pulled the report for, I guess, the Oxford stores. They got 7 stores in Oxford, not all of them, but Rain up 18%. Sales of Rain up 18% in Oxford, Mississippi for the last 4 weeks.
Who says podcast advertising doesn't work? I mean, I try to tell people the way to change your business is advertise on a podcast.
Dude, that's some coin.
Even if it's not our podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast.
It works.
If you have a male audience, this is the truth. If you have a male audience, and I know we have a ton of female admirers watching us on, especially
at least one.
I can tell you that that podcast advertising is the way to go. It's the way men shop. It's the way men consume information and then process it into their spending habits. Podcasts work.
That's it. I'm for it.
Podcasts work.
It does work.
The little potato log network that could. That's exactly right, Hardman. So I've got Razzleberry again today, which I think it's my favorite.
That's why I got it.
Yeah.
My store over here I
like about four of them I really like, but I think this is the one that if you told me you can just have one, I think this is me.
That's your favorite?
I like the gummy bear, the white gummy bear. I like the
sherbet. You like?
I like the sherbet a lot. Yeah.
I mean the orange, the dreamsicle. Orange.
It's way up there. I think I like this one just a little bit more. And then the other one that would be in contention for the top is the was it the cherry limeade?
Cherry limeade. Those are getting hard to find.
It's hard to find those. So that might be why this has emerged a little bit, is that I've been able to get my hands on this one more than the cherry limeade. Cherry limeade, it would be an Alabama-Ohio State battle with these two.
Okay.
It'd be really close, where you could make a legitimate argument for either one.
So I guess Bob had sent me a list. I probably need to find it on my text thread. Cherry limeade was like the 6th leading sales flavor. And I was like, you can't find it anywhere. I love it. It's one of my favorites. But I'm going with the Melon Mania, which mixes very well with Cat Head vodka, in case you didn't know that.
I'm sure. You probably could even mix the Cat Head honeysuckle in with that and just see what happens.
Pretty much anything, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with cat head, so I won't get in trouble today. You got about 45 minutes then.
Yeah, about 45 minutes. I got a big day ahead of me. I got to pick up my son from school.
Okay.
Got to go to his personal training. I lift while he personal trains.
Okay.
Then I'm coming back. I got to get my steps in, and then I'm going to do the yard. Got a day.
Yeah,
Got a day ahead.
You may need 2.
1, 2. I mean, if I do 2, I'll just come in here and knock out my mailbag at 2 o'clock. Can I just tell you real quick, by the way?
Yeah.
I solicit for mailbag questions every Monday.
Okay.
And they deliver, and pretty much anything is good. One of our subscribers, you've known me for a long time, so I'm curious whether you agree with this. I read it, and I was like, no. And I've got an explanation in my mind, but he says, you've been working in journalism for a while now, but sometimes it seems like you don't want to ask Lane, referring to Lane Kiffin, who I cover, questions in fear it will upset him or something. It's almost it's almost as if you're trying to stay on his good side. Ask the questions he wants to be asked or he will think is interesting, ? Am I completely wrong? Or maybe you've been in the industry long enough to know if there's nothing there, no need to pry. Just seems like you've never had this approach with coaches in the past. What do you think? So
how are you going to answer that one, boss?
Well, there's a lot there.
There is a lot there.
I'm not in fear of Lane Kiffin. I don't know that I'm on his good side or his bad side. I don't know that Lane does the media thing like that. I actually think he's pretty media savvy, and with local media, I just think he uses us occasionally as a way to send a message. He's a human being. Are there guys in the local media that I think he likes more than others? Sure, but I don't think he has a relationship with anyone.
I would be shocked.
Media. Yeah, I know he doesn't. I mean, I've said this. I've covered him now going on 3 years. We've had one 20-second conversation, in a personal way. Now he's been nothing but respectful to me, and I think I've been nothing but respectful to him. But I think what happens is 2 things. One is I don't really care for that group setting. And so if I have something compelling that I'm wanting to ask, I'm always hesitant to do it because I'm just giving somebody else the same material. Now, I'm not going to get an exclusive with Kiffin, so I might go work on it somewhere else. But a lot of times I know he doesn't answer mundane personnel questions, so I'm not going to ask him. And I've asked a lot of big picture stuff in the past, but like on a day like today, there really was no big picture stuff to ask. And so,
did you get any quarterback questions today? Not you, but did they come out?
You know what? He really didn't get a quarterback question because he sort of nipped it in the bud at the very beginning by saying that of the 3 quarterbacks, the one that he thought did the best on Saturday was Kincaid Dent, which is another subject entirely. But, I mean, he got asked about his dog again, and he was a good sport about it.
I mean, all right.
Yeah. And he got asked about, and I actually led with this. I used it as.
Yeah, what was your question today?
I didn't have one.
Okay.
I don't. He's not going to answer it. I was going to ask about some offensive line stuff, but it got asked. And then I was like, okay, there's nothing else. He already said, hey, we came out of the scrimmage. It was like nobody got hurt. It was kind of a mix in the middle. Saw some things that were exciting to us. Saw some things that we got to work on. We tackled.
Kick some balls to the upright.
He's basically said, we got to scrimmage again on Saturday, and then we'll build for that.
Yeah, there's just nothing to.
Got another week of camp. I mean, and I thought that was his way of saying, like, look, next week, I feel like I could say as a beat writer, all right, you play a game in 12 days.
Right.
Your kids are in school
This
now.
is the worst week to be you.
Yeah, there's nothing to ask. Your guys are in school now a week from now because Ole Miss classes begin at Ole Miss a week from today, Monday the 22nd.
Worst day of practice in every school in America.
Yeah, so he's going to have a different schedule starting next week. But this week, they're camping, right? They're still doing camp. They'll scrimmage on Saturday. They'll probably do very little on Sunday. And then they'll get into a game week routine on Monday a little bit. Next week will be that weird, awkward week where you're not getting ready for a game, but you're not in camp anymore.
They'll start cranking it up probably Wednesday.
Yeah, so I'll ask him next week if I can get to the microphone. That's the other thing is we're in this room where the microphone. If you are on,
because y'all are in a different place now, right?
Yeah, we're in the halftime team meeting room.
How are the acoustics in there, boss?
Egregious. To Ole Miss's everlasting credit, the people that have done a phenomenal job of making it as good as it can be.
Oh,
but like I already dread post game when people are. I would assume the team meeting room's not available. Post game when we're all crammed in there and it's so loud and people are leaving the stadium and stuff's going on like the mowers and all that stuff. I mean, I'm going to beg. Can you please ask the mower people just to wait for this to end?
So for people that don't know, it's a cinder block room is what it is. And there are and hopefully they put some soundboards in there or something, but it used to drive me nuts. You would go in there and you'd be in one corner of the room trying to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And then somebody would be talking about defensive line and it sounded like they were in your ear. And you'd turn around, they'd be across the room. It's one of those it's complete chaos in there because one person talking takes over the whole room.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's it. There's no fear of, I've been doing this so long that I can't imagine being afraid of a coach.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be. I wouldn't.
You've known me for a while.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you're afraid. I'll go ahead and answer that for you. The hard part, I think, for you guys is, especially in a time like this, there's not anything to talk about.
Well, and some of the young guys, this is going to come across as a criticism, and it's not.
I'll do it. What do you want to say?
Well, some of the young guys, reporters, are asking questions to ask questions.
Correct.
And so I don't really go into it that way. Right, next week, again, to finish my thought, next week I'll be able to press a little like, hey, do you know if you played a game today, do you know who you would play at quarterback? Even if he's not going to tell me who.
It's getting that time.
He would, yeah, because if the answer to that question is, I'm not sure, well, that's not good. And if the answer to that is, yeah, pretty much no, then the follow-up is, what's stopping you from announcing it? What is it? And that's not a trick question, but what prevents you from answering that? And it might be as simple as, I want to look at it for another couple of days, or I want to make sure that I sit down and talk to everybody involved and we're all on the same page. We establish communication, whatever the case may be. But I feel like I could press with an answer with the question a little bit. But today, when he goes, we had a scrimmage, did some good things, did some not so good things. It was kind of in the middle. Got work to do. Got another week. Got a whole another week of camp before we, this time next week
it's a big week.
Yeah. So when he says that, right, when he gives you the truth, and I kind of felt like the truth, when he gives you the truth, why am I going to go? So I know you said that, but if you had, now I'm being a jerk, and I don't want to be disrespectful to someone in general. I'd like to finish the sentence there, but certainly to someone who's being respectful to me. I mean, he comes in, he gives us time, he answers our questions. He's been a lot better this year with media, with opening up a little bit. Like today, he got this question about his dog's Instagram account, and you could tell he kind of wanted to go, come on, guys. But he played along. He goes, you guys do know I don't do that. And
that's where I would have been a really bad head coach. So me and Luke used to laugh all the time because
questions.
He thinks just like I do. I mean, I'm talking about that's why we're such good friends. But he has so much tact and will think through the politically correct way to say things.
Yeah.
And I'm just the opposite, as you can't tell.
Right.
If you can't tell. So, yeah, that was he would always give the politically correct answer. And I would be like, dude, just say it. I didn't say it that time.
You did.
By the way, I got my report card back.
How'd you do?
According to my mother.
You dropped from 36 to,
I was at 35.
35, I'm going to guess 22.
18.
18. You cut it in half.
I cut it in half. But here's the trick. As I was like, well, I said, I dropped the F-bomb one time, so I should get, she goes, you didn't say the F word. And I was like, snuck her in there.
Yeah.
She didn't hear the F-bomb. So, yeah, 18.
Oh, Liverpool is on right now. Weldon, tell me what channel that is.
Are you serious right now?
I'm totally gotten into English Premier League.
Soccer is the most communist sport there is. Weldon, I would expect you to say something about soccer. That's about right. Just because he's
Chelsea Tottenham yesterday was an intense.
You're speaking
match.
A foreign language to me right now.
Actually, this is English. We stole their language. It's English.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say. You still enrolling with DirecTV, huh?
Yeah, it's on USA. Okay.
What's your bill a month?
It's a lot. It's a lot. I get all the packages.
Well, the best thing I ever did was switch to streaming TV, YouTube TV. Not a sponsor, by the way. I'm just saying it. Yeah, our bill dropped like $200 a month. I think I was paying like $279 a month or something crazy, close to $300 a month for DirecTV. I knocked it down to $50.
Got Liverpool and Crystal Palace here in the 14th minute. No score as we get rolling. Yeah, Weldon makes a good point. You watch NASCAR.
Fair. It's completely fair.
It's very fair.
I mean,
it really is.
Hey, Weldon, kiss my ass.
All right, so let's get into. We'll touch on this. You went to the Ole Miss scrimmage. We're not going to do a whole lot of this because this is not going to be an Ole Miss show. I'm going to get you on later to get into more details. Your son plays football at OHS. He had a scrimmage early on Saturday. He wanted to go to the Ole Miss scrimmage, so you took him. So you watched some football. I know you know what.
Hard decision, by the way. It was an awkward decision.
I'm sure it was.
Things you do for your kids.
But you know enough football to make some observations. And even for you, it's just one practice. It's just one thing. So you would.
Yeah.
But what did you see in particular at quarterback?
At quarterback, so I didn't know we were going to talk about this. So for me, it's to make a quarterback decision based on what you're seeing for whatever 90 minutes, wherever it was. I mean, they've been doing it. I mean, look, Lane knows what he's doing. You know, he sees them for 2 weeks, and he's going to make his decision based on the whole picture.
Sure. He very much knows quarterbacks. If he doesn't know anything, he knows quarterbacks.
He'll be okay.
Right.
But from what I saw, if you just said, hey, what's your take on it, watching it for the 90 minutes I watched it, I don't even know why we're having a debate. I don't even know what the discussion's about.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even particularly, and it's not because, and I will say this too, I'd like to, if we could, and we'll talk about it later on and other stuff, but I would have my expectations tempered a little bit because neither one of these guys are Matt Corral.
Sure. And to Lane's credit, he has said that consistently.
But I don't think they listen.
They don't. Here's what they hear, and I get it with fans. I watched my son do it with Chet Holmgren and the Thunder, right? Chet Holmgren has a chance to be a generational talent.
But he's not Kevin Durant.
Well, but if he's ever going to be Kevin Durant, it's not happening now.
Right.
Right. This first year, he's going to suck as a rookie. Like, he's going to get abused as a rookie. That doesn't mean that he won't be a great player. I do think Dart has a chance to be a really good player down the road, which means that he can do some things now. But I do think if Jackson wins the job, and I'm like you, I think he's probably going to.
I don't even know what the discussion's about.
But if Jackson Dart's going to be Ole Miss's quarterback, to me, it's pretty much inevitable that he is going to have some moments as a first-year player where he does some stuff where you're like, that's not good.
Yeah, so he looked comfortable. We were talking about I had a couple of guys I worked with that went, and to me it appeared like, and this is again one practice, so don't go.
Sure,
I know the fans can be the fans. This is one practice. It appeared to me that Jackson Dart looked like a guy trying to win the job, and Luke Altmaier looked like a guy trying not to lose the job.
You thought Luke was indecisive.
I thought Luke was indecisive. I thought there were some times, and look, I will say this too, he wasn't getting much help. There's some depth issues out there. Again, I want to temper expectations. I know there's a lot of expectations because of what they did last year. This is a brand new team, and fans need to, it'll be fine. Just everybody relax. Let them finish the season. Let them do what they're going to do with everybody, every team. But I would have my expectations tempered a little bit. There's some depth issues on several positions. Now, I will say this. The two positions I really liked was the running back position. I think it's very deep.
They have 4 dudes there.
Probably the best running back room in the history of Ole Miss football.
Probably so. I mean,
I can't think.
I don't know the history of the program as well.
As far as I can remember, and again, I was reminded the other day that I apparently don't understand the history of this place, even though I worked here and my living came from here. But I will say, of my knowledge of the program in my lifetime, it's the best one I think they've had total room. And the thing that was a little impressive to me is defensive line wise, they don't have a dude that you're going to go.
And this was Cedric Johnson not playing.
Yeah, they don't have a dude that you're like, oh man, I don't know how we're going to block this guy. But the thing they do have is depth.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I mean, and that's just as important as having dudes.
Sure.
Because now those guys, you keep rolling in fresh guys, and as a collective group, I think they're going to be very effective. Now, you may not have a superstar, but as a collective group, I was very impressed with the depth at defensive line.
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys there. It's not just bodies. A lot of guys who can do different things.
A lot of above-average players.
And I'll say this. I don't know him. I've never really met him yet, but everyone raves about Randall Johnson, Joyner, I should say. Randall Joyner, the defensive line coach. He is obviously a very good recruiter. Kids like him, but he obviously is also a pretty good technician defensively because you see some of these guys getting better in a short period of time. You can see incremental improvement. The job that he's doing with J.J. Pegues is really impressive. I mean, J.J. has gone from being a project to a guy who can absolutely play defensive line at this level to a guy that I think, and Lane Kiffin said this the other day, has a chance to be a big-time player there. We'll dive into all that stuff another time. All right, you sent me something. Thought this was interesting. Yahoo. Let me get to the right.
About the coach's hot seat?
Yeah. We'll start here. Your last year in coaching, you were on a hot seat.
Not really. Not until it was over. Was on a hot seat for about a week.
All right, so take me through that season. You see, I always thought that entire season you guys were. I did think it was a hot seat year, and
I can only go by what we were told. I mean,
right.
From the people that's supposed to be making decisions. I thought we had another year regardless. That's why I was, recruiting the way I was recruiting. I'm not a complete dumbass. That's true. I'm going to try to cut it down to inside 10 today, Mom. But, if you got other plans, let your boy know so we can try to fix it ahead of time, right? Because it does make a difference.
Would you have approached that year differently?
Yeah.
In what way?
Get some dudes that can answer the questions now and instead of 2 years from now. That's the deal.
Because you thought you were building.
My first year, yes. One signing class, yes. I would count that as yes. I would. Part of the reason I agreed to do the job in the jump is because it was on the front end of a deal. But it is what it is. But I can say this: I do sleep well at night. I don't know how many on 2 different occasions. I was here twice with 2 different coaches.
Yeah.
Every kid I ever recruited to Ole Miss played in the Sugar Bowl.
That's true.
So I don't know how many people can say that.
Not many.
But
in the history of Ole Miss,
and with 2 different coaches, with 2 different staffs.
Yeah, you have to get back into the 60s, I'm guessing.
But I was trying to build and really trying to do the same model as I was doing the first time, or similar model, not the same, but a similar. And it worked the first time, and I was going to try to do it again where you, but only got 1 class into it. But anyway, that job was a little bit different the last time because I really did not. I knew we had to do better in 2020. I did know that. But I thought we were good as of 11 a.m. on the day we got fired. So we can talk about that later.
Well, at some point, I'd like to dive into that day.
Might need some cat head.
That might be hey, let's open a bottle.
Yeah, because the truth shall set you free.
That was a crazy weekend.
Crazy for you.
Yeah, I know. I know because I remember talking to you throughout that weekend, and you were fine until you weren't.
Yeah. At 11 a.m. on the day we got fired, we were perfectly good.
Well, and on that day,
because I got on a plane.
I know you did. I kind of shut it down that day.
On a school plane, by the way, that they were paying for.
That they knew you were going on.
That they knew I was going. Huh?
Y'all didn't steal it.
No, didn't steal it. Something happened in those 6.5 hours. Wonder what that could be.
Well, and it was
3 days after your last game. Look at those wheels turning. So you have an Ole Miss podcast. I don't.
Well, I've been very frank about it. I mean, I was that Saturday. I felt like it was possible, and I think I told you that night. You and I had a conversation about it. And
What night was that?
The Saturday night, less than 24 hours
Okay.
before it happened. And then on Sunday, what I was told that morning, independent of anyone on that staff, was that no, nothing's going to happen. They're getting more time. Next year's going to be big, but
Yeah.
they're going to get more time. And, dude, I kind of shut it down. Like,
Me too. I got on a plane.
it was a Sunday, and I had already written 10 weekend thoughts because Ole Miss had played on Thursday night, and I was done. And I was like, I was going to turn on the NFL and chill out a little bit. And then I guess I got a call, and I don't remember the whole detail. Again, I'll have to think back. We'll do a show on it sometime.
Yeah, we'll do a show on it. I will answer.
But I got a call like at 2 o'clock that, hey, you need to be on alert. And then by 4:30, 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes. I will answer Leif Benson. Can Tyler say who he was recruiting when he found out? We had just left. What's the kid's name? Weldon's in here. He'll help me remember. The kid that went to Vanderbilt that's playing. DeRicky Wright.
Yeah.
We went to DeRicky Wright's house, left here at about 11, flew there, saw him.
He was committed?
He was committed.
Okay.
Kid, I think he's starting safety or something at Vandy. And then had I want to say it was a 7 o'clock, 6:30 or 7 o'clock home visit with Robbie Ashford.
Yeah.
And we were at Full Moon Barbecue when the phone rang. You get me liquored up, I'll tell you the rest of the story.
Well, we'll do that. We'll definitely do that sometime. That was a day. I can't even imagine that day from your perspective.
Yeah. There were some things, I lost a lot of respect for some people that day.
Sure.
Because they lied to me straight in my face.
Sure.
I'll leave it at that.
No, I understand.
At 11 o'clock.
Do you think obviously something changed? There was something financially changed.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You said that 19.3 reasons why.
But do you think at 11 o'clock the people who sent you on the road had any idea that was coming in the next 6 hours?
Yeah, I'll have to get liquored up. I guess I don't want to put you in that position. I know it sounds crazy. I don't know how much of it you actually know. I'll tell you off the air. I know you know some of it.
Yeah, I know a good bit of it.
Publicly, though, there are some people that have made a public stance that's not accurate. And I don't want to, I just want to let bygones be bygones.
I understand.
But there's things that are out there publicly that the fans think happen and shit like that. It's not true. Like 100%. Like that'll change your mind on things when people take a stance publicly on things, and me and them both know that they're lying.
Yeah.
But I can't say anything because I'm the bitter guy, right?
I can just say any coaching search that involved Matt Luke has been awkward, which is odd because Matt's one of the best guys in the business, or formerly in the business.
A stud.
The year he was the interim coach, I was told all year, you weren't here, you were at
No, I was at South Alabama.
I was told the whole year, hey, he's not getting it. He's not a candidate. Losing respect for somebody. To the point that I remember, we'll touch this quickly. We'll do the Ole Miss coaching search another day. But I will touch this quickly because it was fascinating.
How much cat head you got back there?
I've got some.
You're gonna need a lot.
But I'm not doing it today. And this would not be a good time to start pouring it down my gullet.
You go pick up your son in an Uber.
Yeah. Go to the gym. I don't care what y'all do.
Yeah.
And then mow the yard. Yeah, not a good idea. I did a story it was the weekend that Ole Miss played at Kentucky. It was the game that DK Metcalf.
Yeah, great game.
DK Metcalf caught the game winner.
I actually watched that one.
Touchdown. So it was early November, and I did a story where I talked to a whole bunch of people about the Ole Miss job under the premise of, hey, I'm going to give everybody anonymity. Because it went from, I can't talk.
You talk people at Ole Miss, or you talked to in the business?
I talked to people in coaching, agents, all sorts of stuff. Talked to a lot of people about the Ole Miss job on the condition of anonymity. And as you can imagine, it went from, it's a good job, whatever, to people really telling me what they thought. And before I ran the story, and I ran it on that Saturday morning, and before I ran it, I reached out and said, hey, look, I'm not writing about Matt Luke here. Is there any chance Matt gets the job? No. No chance. So I don't even write about him.
Did they get mad at you?
Well, I think Matt and them were probably a little irritated.
No, I'm talking about did your people on your message board get mad at you?
No. I think that I think they respected my journalism, and I also think the people on there that know me know that, believe it or not, I always laugh at the people who go, "He's an asshole," right? Because because
people call you an asshole.
Oh yeah, sure. Because I think some people know I'm kind of aloof and stuff, and so they think that's the truth. Is I'm not in my history as a human being. I haven't been enough of an asshole. If I had been more of an asshole, I probably would be even more successful than I was. I'm just being honest.
Isn't it funny though? Have you ever, I try to tell people all the time, if you look at successful people, do you know that people have an opinion of those people as being an asshole?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
How many nice guys you know are successful?
Not many. I think you get run over.
You get ran over.
So that month, I was so conscious of, I didn't want to write about this guy that I like as a person and put him on a list and talk about him if I knew that he wasn't getting the job.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want somebody to talk about me like if I'd applied for a job as the Atlanta Braves beat writer and there's someone's doing a story on the
You actually thought you were doing him a favor.
Yeah, I thought I was being respectful.
Right.
And so the week Ole Miss lost to Texas A&M on a Saturday night, the half-full crowd, Tommy Tuberville did the halftime hotty-toddy. It was a disaster. And I came home that night, and I got all these calls, and everything was about Dave Doran. And I wrote about Dave Doran and subsequently found out on Monday morning that I was on to something, that Dave Doran was the guy.
So this is Monday of the last week?
Monday of the last week.
Okay.
And then I asked the question on that Monday. I said, is there any way Matt gets this job? No. I said, what if Ole Miss wins? Well, they're not going to win. Well, what if they do? Football's crazy. You never know what's going to happen.
Especially that game.
Yeah, I said, football's crazy. Upsets happen. What if? Well, we'd still do the right thing. Okay. I took him off the hot board. Ole Miss wins the game. That was the game, the quarterback, and I can't think of his name, broke his leg. Breland Speaks has the famous GIF waving at Dan Mullen. The whole football games happen.
That was when the dog peeing incident got you a job.
Yeah. 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 DK Metcalf did the dog. Yeah. Crazy
It
world.
got you a job. 2 years later, a different guy does it, and you lose your job. Isn't that funny?
It's a crazy world.
Crazy world we live in.
But so imagine my sense on that Sunday when Matt Luke gets the job, and I realize, okay, now I've got to cover this guy who I'm sure thinks that I have completely disrespected him. And so Matt called me on Monday morning, and I was honest with him. I said, I want to tell you this. You need to know this. I said, you can dislike me or whatever, but the reason your name wasn't on our hot board the last few days is because I was told that you were not getting the job. I asked repeatedly. It wasn't disrespect. I was trying to be respectful because my daughter and his niece were and still are great friends. I mean, his daughter went up to Fayetteville and spent, not Matt's daughter, Matt's niece, Tom's daughter.
Yeah.
They're buddies.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing I wanted to do was be disrespectful. I know Matt's parents. They're super great people. I mean, I didn't know Matt as well as I knew, Tom and Tom's wife, because Tom's wife and my wife went to countless dance things together, right?
Yeah.
When they were in the same dance company or whatnot. So anyway, it was an awkward deal. It was just a crazy deal all around. The coaching searches, people are like, what are coaching searches like? And the answer is, well, they're great as long as you don't know any of the people involved in it personally.
That's the hard part, I guess, that even I still get frustrated about this last one with Matt, and I get frustrated, across the years it's going on. And we've talked about it before, but it's not a game to the people involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And all the staffs and families.
And look, and people can get, there's still people that give Matt shit about, and there's always going to be people like that. But again, I'm going to need a lot more cat head vodka, but
Crystal Palace has a lead. Wow.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Okay, sorry.
But I want people, I mean, if people knew how much he loved this place and what everybody on that staff, whether you like them or you don't, and people like and don't like people based on their success on the scoreboard.
Sure.
And how much of their life they gave up to make sure that you were happy on Saturday when you went home. You know what I mean?
It's why I always said about Matt and the Ole Miss job, because you would have all these people that would say, and listen, there was too many of them that said it for me not to believe it, that, hey, this guy's got a chance to be a star in the business.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I would hear that, and I remember telling you this one day, and I think because of the way I said it, I don't even think you got mad at me. I said, that's kind of the shame of this. And you were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, if you're going to be a star one day, damn, I wish he would go someplace, get started, and then come here as an established entity without all the trash.
Yeah.
And because I told you, I said, my fear for Matt is that he turns into Ole Miss's Mike Shula.
Yeah, and the problem is that you don't have, and you got to look at it the other way too, right? You don't just pick and choose the jobs you get.
Well, and it's why Lane Kiffin took the USC job when he left Tennessee. I mean, Lane, I think if you were to ask Lane today, hey, what's your one career regret? I think it's very clear. I would not have left Tennessee.
Well, no, I mean, just like you look at it from Matt's standpoint, being an offensive line coach.
Right.
Those guys don't get a lot of opportunities to be head football coaches.
That's why so many people in the coaching business cheer for Sam Pittman.
Right. You just don't have that opportunity. And then all of a sudden you get one for that kind of money offered to you. You're not going to be like, well, I'm not,
Oh, of course not. No, I wasn't judging.
You got to take them when you can get them. But
I was just saying, if the football gods could have controlled it, right? Matt takes that interim year at Ole Miss, turns it into a head coaching job at South Alabama, Louisiana Tech, Arkansas State, wins, and then gets the Ole Miss job down the road. I mean, if the football gods could have designed it more cleanly.
Yeah, and it's just hard for me to convey because I understand. I mean, I was here. I get it, right?
Yeah.
It was the best staff. The last year we had Rich Rod, we had Mike McIntyre, Peeler, D. Nix. We had the Calvin McGee, God rest his soul. I don't know if y'all talked about that on the podcast before. But the best overall staff, Jeff Kuntz, and we had Summerall for a little while, obviously, but just the best overall staff I've ever worked with. And it was bad timing, man.
Yeah.
Which we're fixing to get into. But
it was bad timing, and
we were doing things the right way. We were building the program the right way. We just never got to, and that's probably what I do for a living. Probably the most frustrating part is when I'm at the house watching the guys that I recruited to do it with somebody else, and you don't get to enjoy the benefits of your fruits of your labor.
Sure, I understand. All right, let's talk about coaches that are on the hot seat today.
All right,
and the one that first comes up, and he's on it, is Scott Frost at Nebraska. Scott Frost,
that's an interesting one.
Scott Frost won really big at UCF.
He did.
People can go, well, lots of people win there big. Okay, but he did. I mean, he won really big at UCF. Why has he been unable to get it going at Nebraska?
Well, I think, and we're going to talk about another guy here in a minute with Jeff Collins, is they're going through a complete system overhaul, right? I mean, what he wants to do, recruiting those kind of athletes, they're going through a complete system overhaul. And it goes back to what we were just saying a minute ago, is something happened about 10 years ago that nobody has time anymore. You know, if you look back, when you used to get a job, you were like, okay, we're here for 5 years.
Yeah, 4 minimum.
Like, go back and look at one of the most interesting things, and I don't know if I can do it. You may can do it. One of the most interesting things is to look at Frank Beamer's record at Virginia Tech when he first got there. Like, look at Frank Beamer's record at Virginia Tech. I don't know how many years it was before he started winning, but if that was in today's environment, he's not there. I mean, I'm going to see if I can pull it up. I don't know if you can. So, but his record at Virginia Tech, I mean, he was like 5-6 years in before he had a win. I mean, it was something crazy. But, you know, it was Hardman, another story for another day, brother. That's not all.
Yeah, I stayed away from that.
You stayed away from that one?
Yeah,
that's not all surface. There's more to that story.
I'm pulling up his records okay, here we go. So Frank Beamer's first season, nice bowl games, never mind. Hold on, I'm finding it. Still looking. You can keep talking.
All right. So, yeah. So,
here we go.
All right. Go
Here
ahead.
we go. Frank Beamer's first, he was the coach at Murray State for 6 seasons.
Okay.
And then he landed the Virginia Tech job in time for the 1987 season.
Yep. What was his record in
He went
87?
2-9.
Okay. 88?
3-8.
89.
6-4-1.
90.
6-5.
91.
5-6.
All right. Now,
Here's the shocker. Is that if you would think that, boy, you're hanging on by a thread, right? And then in 92, 2-8-1, including 1-4 in
87,
the
88,
Big
89,
East.
90, 91, 92. That's 6 years. In his 6th year, he goes what? 2-8-1?
2-8-1. Yep.
All right, so let's have an honest conversation here. If that is in today's time, is Frank Beamer still the head coach?
No.
Not even close.
No, because he would have. So Frank Beamer would have, in today's era, would have rolled a 2-9 and a 3-8 and gone into the next season on the hottest of hot seats. And then he goes 6-4-1, so he hangs on, right?
Yep.
Then he goes 6-5, and he's hanging on.
Maybe though, maybe
It's close.
Yeah.
And then he goes 5-6, and frankly, that gets him fired.
Yeah, you don't go to a bowl game, you're gone.
But if someone had said, no, we're going to give him another year, the 2-8-1 would have gotten him fired, the AD fired, and everybody else who, you would.
Everybody associated with the program. Hell, the basketball coach may have been fired.
But then after that, starting in 93, listen to this roll.
Yeah.
9-3, 8-4, 10-2, 10-2. I'm leaving out bowl games, by the way, guys. Every one of these are bowls. 7-5, 9-3, 11-1, 11-1, 8-4, 10-4, 8-5, 10-3, 11-2, 10-3, 11-3, 10-4, 10-3, 11-3, 11-3.
Yeah.
Before he slipped a little bit starting in 2012.
So I guess my point of the drill is this: is that used to have 5 years, right? At least, and everybody was so slow to move on and all that stuff, and gave you time. You don't have that anymore now. And Scott Frost is the reason we're discussing this, right? So Scott Frost, to me, I actually think Nebraska is patient. I think if he was anywhere else, he would have been gone probably last year.
Yeah, he's their guy.
He's their guy. Nebraska's different.
Yeah.
All right, and we talked about it when we talked about the Big Ten earlier. Is whatever they were ultra competitive last year, and they were. I think they're going to be better. I think he does enough to keep his job. Now, what is that? I don't know, but Nebraska kind of burned themselves after Frank Solich. You know, when they went from Tom Osborne to Frank Solich.
Yeah.
And they fired Frank Solich after winning like 9 games.
And then he went to
Ohio.
And did well.
Yeah, did
and
really
made
well.
Him look stupid because they were losing while he was winning.
But they haven't won since he left.
No.
They've gone through, Bill Callahan, what's my guy's name? Bo Pelini.
Yeah.
Scott Frost. I think those are only 3 maybe. I think there's been 3 there. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to be better. And I think that, here's the other thing, is Trev Alberts is the AD there. They played together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's he's going to have ample time. I think they're very cultish, I think, a little bit up there. Okay.
I've never been. I don't know anything about Nebraska.
It's
other than when I was a kid, they were an elite superpower.
Yeah. They recruit different. It's a different deal.
Like I can remember the Nebraska-Oklahoma games and the Nebraska-Miami games. Those were must-see television.
Yeah. I think they do enough to keep his job this year. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's some astronomical number. I think if he wins 7, I think goes to bowl game, I think he's safe. I think probably 7 keeps him safe.
Herm Edwards, Arizona State. He's on the hot seat for a couple of reasons. One, he's getting older. 2, he's got the NCAA thing that kind of hung over them.
Kinda.
A lot over them.
I mean, where's the NCAA on this one?
They have no teeth anymore.
No, but I'm talking about of all the stuff.
They have no teeth.
I mean, we got coaches using their own freaking receipts for travel. I mean, credit cards and stuff. I mean,
shouldn't that be a good job, Arizona State?
Oh, Billy loved it. So, Billy Napier was the OC out there.
Yeah.
Before, who was he with? Who was the head? Ty Graham, I think, was the head coach. I think. I don't remember. But before Billy became the head coach at ULL, he was the OC out there. So he left Alabama to go out there. And I remember we used to. I've sent you a couple texts messing with you, but amongst my buddies, anytime we're doing something fun, instead of working hard, we'll send a text or something. And so his first weekend out there, he's at the the Waste Management Open at TPC Scottsdale, and he's at the 16th green, or 16th hole with all the right above the tee box drinking water, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he goes, could be doing a junior day in Tuscaloosa, but no, no, he said it's amazing. He loved it out there. He loved his time out there. But they have really. I'm so interested to see what the NCAA does with Arizona State, because it's not a blue blood. It's not in the heart of the SEC. It isn't the Pac-12 and all that stuff. But you talking about some violations. I mean, dude, if that happened in the SEC,
oof.
I mean, dude, there would be people going to jail. FBI would come get them. They did some bad things.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens.
I think, and all the players left because another sanctions are coming. All their players left. They're starting quarterbacks at LSU now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a long year for my man, Herm Edwards, which is a great dude, by the way. I got a chance to meet him. He came and visited at Tuscaloosa. And spoke to the team. I mean, he's an impressive person. But, yeah, I think it's all she wrote.
All right. That gets us to an SEC one that's on the hot seat. And this is one where, frankly, we're going to be dancing a little bit because I
won't dance.
I think both of us know things about this job. Brian Harsin at Auburn.
I'm not dancing.
Okay.
I've said I think it's the same thing happened when you covered them. I think they tried to do a coup. It did not work. I think the players and have galvanized behind them. Same thing happened with Tuberville. I mean, he was out the door too. And here comes Bobby Petrino was going to be the head coach at Auburn, and they tried to run Tuberville out.
Yeah.
So, look, I've said the same thing.
They flew to Louisville. I mean, my friend Jay Tate's the one that broke that story that
on Bobby Louder's plane.
Yeah, Jetgate.
So, but for me,
everything's a gate.
I know Grind's in here. Grind, I got to tell you, I'm going to update you too, Grind, here in a second. So, but look, he is a hell of a ball coach. One of the best X's and O's guys there are out there.
Brian Harsin
is. And he knows he does it different, okay? And it's really the old heads at at Auburn are pissed. That's not how we've been doing it around here, but you're going to get that when you hire from outside your family. And they went outside and got a quote-unquote outsider. They forced him to hire a couple of coaches that he didn't want to hire. So he miraculously said, okay, if you're going to fire my ass, at least let me do it with my guys. And so he's going to hire his guys. He's going to go in there, and he's going to do it. Now,
it's starting to sound like T.J. Finley is going to be his quarterback.
All right, so yeah.
Can T.J. Finley lead Auburn to 8 wins?
Yeah, so I was told last week, literally as of Wednesday, was somebody that should know that T.J. Finley's all but out of it. And he was. And then Saturday happened, and the other two struggled mightily. Calzada and Robbie Ashford,
and your boy Robbie,
and he said that T.J. Finley came out like the Undertaker, just came up out of the coffin and went down the field. Now he's back to life. But and then I was also brought up the point. You said you got to remember, T.J. Finley took all those reps with the ones during spring practice, and that's going to mean something. He's got the confidence of the right guys. So look for T.J. Finley to come up. He's making a comeback. It'll be a big week on the Plains, and then Saturday is going to be you got to make a decision coming out Saturday. But TJ, I'm sorry, Grind. I hate that I let you down, but I'm just updating you. I'll call a spade a spade.
If that job opens up,
oh, you didn't.
Hold on.
You didn't.
Hold on. I'm not.
You didn't. We're supposed to be having that conversation off the air.
I told you we're dancing.
Okay,
we're dancing. This is a dance. You screwed up the dance.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to lead you.
I couldn't help it. I about choked myself.
I was trying to lead you, and you're fighting. Wait, take it. A right step back, and
rookie move.
If that job opens up in the midst of let's say Alabama's as good as everybody thinks Alabama's going to be. You've got Alabama, one rival wins a title, then another rival, Georgia, wins a title, and then let's say Alabama wins the title. So you're just surrounded by titles. I know it's Auburn. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of tradition. 3 Heismans, national titles, the whole deal. How attractive is that job today?
Whew. It's attractive. I think but here's the thing. I was going to bring this up when we were talking about this hot seat. You got to be very careful when you're firing coaches now. We've added a whole nother element to this deal.
I know, because everybody can bolt.
All right, you can bolt, but here's the other thing: is if I'm a coach and you're trying to get me to take your job, what is my NIL? You better have your NIL better be in order and working.
And theirs isn't right now.
And here's the thing, and I will say this about Auburn: is Auburn does have NIL working, but the problem is, see if this doesn't sound familiar to you. You have two different collectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants to take credit for whatever guy it is. Okay?
Sure.
Instead of somebody needs to get in there and say, "Hey guys, look, we're all on the same team here." All right, just so you can go to the box and brag because you bought this player. Oh no, this collective wants to brag because they bought this player. We're all on the same team here. So that's why I can't, if you're at a school that has multiple collectives, that's a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, it is, because every collective wants to take credit for getting the player. Now, why do they want to do that, Neal? Why does this collective want to take credit? Because if this collective is getting all the good players, then where are all the businesses sending their money? They're going to send their money to that collective. Well, this guy that's running the collective is getting 10% of that money. I mean, it's like it's what are we doing? We're on the same team, and you actually got universities that their collectives are competing against each other. Now, I think they're trying to get that corrected down on the plains.
Yep.
But that's a problem, and it's been a problem. And every single one that does that, that's why you got problems when you do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if let's say it doesn't work out, that a move comes at the end of the season.
I do think that he's going to stay, but go ahead.
Okay. Is it established head coach that they go after? Do they go after the hot assistant and let somebody build something? Because it's going to take a minute.
Well, I think,
or I say that in today's football, it might not take a minute.
Well, first thing is I think Allen is probably tied to Harsin at this point.
Allen Green
is probably tied to Harsin.
Okay.
So then you're going to have to get an AD first. All right. So I would think if something happens and Allen gets let go or something out of the blue in the middle of the season, it's probably not going to end well.
Sure.
All right. But long as that doesn't happen, he will be the first one to go. And so if he goes, then you can probably expect. But Allen does a good job too. But at the end of the day, you have to be careful what you ask for. Like, there's nothing wrong with hiring the guy. Cool. If that's what you want to do, I'm all about it. But you got to let the guy do his job. Because he does it differently,
so you
doesn't
think
mean it's not going to work.
You think Harsin survives?
I do.
So that means 8 wins.
Whatever it is. I can't look. I know what it looks like on paper. I get it. But I've also been around the place.
It looks so bad on paper, man.
It does. It does. And I can't sit here and justify it in any way. But just the fact that over the course of history, ever since I have been alive, every time you think they're going to suck, they end up being good. And every time you think they're going to be good, they suck. I mean, it's just, there's been like 1 year when you thought they were going to be really good, and they were, and that was the Ronnie, when you were covering them back in the Ronnie Brown days.
Ronnie Brown, Carnell, Jason Campbell.
But the year they won the national championship, I don't even think they were ranked going into the season or something crazy. It was weird when Cam Newton. I can tell you this, when the Arkansas State Red Wolves had the ball 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line with the lead late in the third quarter, I wouldn't have gone out there and said, man, that's the national champions right there. And then Cam Newton decided to be Cam Newton, and they win the rest of the games.
Nothing against T.J. Finley, who I'm sure is a fine young man. I just don't think that there's any scenario where T.J. Finley pulls a Cam Newton.
Oh, no. I wouldn't compare.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying
he's generational.
It's difficult for me to find the path for Harsin to win. Like, if you told me Harsin wins 7 games, wins 8 games, okay. Is that enough?
Absolutely. I think if he goes for a bowl game, it's enough.
Well, if that's the standard, I think he's probably fine.
I think he's good enough for another year. I don't think they run him out. Now, if he goes 4-8.
Well, sure.
And
frankly, if you're the people making the decisions, you either want like 9 wins or 4 wins. You don't want that middle ground where you're like, what do we do?
Yeah, but you can't.
Middle ground's purgatory.
Last year was his first year. Am I wrong on that?
Yes, first year. You're correct.
I'm correct on that.
You're correct.
Guys, and I can't, and I know we're fans here.
Because Malzahn left after the 2020 season to go to UCF.
I'm walking proof here, okay? I've said it. You've heard me say I said it earlier in the interview. You can't give a guy 1 year and go, by gosh, dadgummit, we didn't get it done. Now, you're going to bring in a guy that's doing things completely different than what you've been doing.
But that's not why that happened. That didn't happen because of what happened on the field. That happened because he wasn't playing the Auburn game.
That's what I'm saying. But you knew that when you hired him. It wasn't a surprise.
Well, they didn't hire him. You know exactly what happened because you know the people The reason, I mean,
I thought we were dancing here.
Well, I mean, we can dance.
We were dancing. You were supposed to be my dance partner.
We can dance, but I mean, at some point, I mean, they were firing Gus Malzahn to hire Kevin Steele, and Alan Green didn't play along.
Okay, but then when he actually went to go hire the guy, I mean, he brings a particular guy. My point is this: is you got the guy, he's your dude. Okay, he is your head coach, and so I got this like crazy idea. I think all fans should learn this. Okay,
all right.
How about supporting your effing head coach that you have until he's not your head coach? It'll make things a lot easier, and you'll win a lot more games.
You know what? Listen, I'm in the media, and I can sell drama, so I'm totally against that.
Yeah, you like how I said effing instead of the word, though?
I did. It was good. You're a step in the right direction.
I'm maturing, Mom.
No, I don't want that. I like drama's good, man.
Yeah. Hey, Grind, I know you're saying his recruiting classes are ass, but how do we really know that?
I thought he was saying his recruiting ass is recruiting
he
sucks
says
peaches.
That sucks ass.
I thought he said sucks peaches. I hate peaches.
Yeah, but like,
you like peaches?
I love them.
If you ever picked them all summer, you wouldn't like them anymore.
Chilton County, baby.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Ruston is known for its peaches.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Mitcham Peach Orchard. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I like peaches, but like, I mean, again, we can't. He's recruiting guys to his system. Let him do his job. And I don't know if you've noticed, but his recruiting has been decent this year. I mean, let the guy do his job. And then look, we'll all know at the end of the year, if it's working, it's working. If it's not, it's not. But, you know, he's got to make a culture change, completely different guy. And it's kind of like Jeff Collins, who we'll get to in a minute. But, like, you got to let the people do their job and until they can't do the job.
All right, Jeff Collins, Georgia Tech.
Yep. So
Collins is 9-25 overall, 7-18 in the ACC in his 3 seasons.
So very hard job. Like, it's kind of like the next guy that go to Alabama after Nick. There's nowhere to go. I mean, he's taken over a triple option team, a complete overhaul of players.
Yeah.
Look, they took like 17 dudes in the portal. I think that's the number. I'm sure it's out there. Somebody can fact check me on that. I think 17 was the number.
Okay.
I expect them to be better. Is it enough? I don't know what enough is. I don't know. But he didn't get dumber overnight. It's just a tough situation.
Scott Satterfield at Louisville.
I fight back at that one. Scott Satterfield
had 5 great years at App State.
One of the best coaches I've ever coached against.
Won 8 in his first season at Louisville after the Petrino disaster. Took a step backwards in 2020, went 4-7. I'm telling you, I wish people would stop referring to the 2020 season. It was such a bizarre, stupid year. Just throw it away.
It's tough. I don't know how people did it.
And then last year they went 6-7, capped by a 31-point loss to Kentucky, and then a bowl loss to Air Force. So he's 18-19 overall at Louisville.
We talked about a little bit last week that I got educated on. Apparently, I didn't know enough about the Egg Bowl and the Iron Bowl, so I got educated on that. But anyway, Louisville and Kentucky, they don't like each other either now. That game carries weight in that series.
Yeah,
I mean, big time.
Sure.
John Summerall gave me a whole rundown on that one day. That's a big game in that situation. But Scott Satterfield, who are you going to hire better than Scott Satterfield? Don't say it. He's a good ball. I mean, my point is this: I'm
trying.
I know, but he is a great. I saw you over there, though. I liked it. I see you.
Yeah.
But he is a phenomenal ball coach, and I've had to coach against him. And what he built at App State, that doesn't happen, and they're still winning on his guys. And there's a guy at Missouri right now that's the head coach at Missouri because of Scott Satterfield. Period.
Yeah.
He's not on this list somehow, but there's a guy at Missouri that's the head coach right now because of Scott Satterfield.
It's interesting he's not on the list because he's not.
I was surprised
anything.
too. Well, it's year 3 too. I mean, that's where we're at these days. You got 3 years to show something, or your ass is grass.
There was a day when Syracuse was like a really big program. Paul Pasqualoni. I remember they came to Auburn and won. I think I remember covering Auburn.
That's the infamous tie game, Pat Dye tie game.
No, this was later. This was.
I know, but I'm saying that's.
Oh yeah,
Paul Pasqualoni.
Auburn went up there in 2001 when I was on the beat and lost. Who was the defensive end from Syracuse? He went on to play for the Colts forever. He was really, really good.
Freeney.
Yeah,
Freeney. Is it Feeney or Feeney? Freeney?
It was Freeney.
Freeney.
And Auburn had a freshman tackle who, let's just say that at the end of that game, Jason Campbell was
he was hurting.
Well, and he was probably, his head was on a swivel on the plane.
He wasn't the only one that
looking for Freeney.
That dude hurt a lot of people.
Yeah, and that was a game that probably got Noel Mazzoni fired, and he's like, it's a freshman quarterback. What the hell do you expect? I mean, got stuff going on. All right, so Dino Babers on the hot seat at Syracuse.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I just don't think that job's very good anymore.
Goes back to what we just talked about is before you go and like everybody wants, and fans especially, they want to make a knee-jerk reaction with fire the guy. Okay, I think we went through that here in this town with another sport. Okay, fire the guy. Fire the guy, fire the guy, fire the guy. Well, timeout. Who are you better when you go to fire? In my opinion, if I was an AD, which I wanted to be, I know that sounds crazy. I actually want to do that at one point in time. If you go to hire somebody, you better make sure that you got the guy ready to freaking go. Like, if I was an AD, I would never fire a coach unless I knew who was coming through the door, ever. And he better be coming through the door. I think we've seen that happen the wrong way enough.
Some other coaches on the hot seat, Marcus Arroyo at UNLV, Seth Luttrell at
I don't think Seth is.
At North Texas. I'm just reading the story. Scott Loeffler at Bowling Green, Jeff Scott at USF, and Jake Spavital at Texas State.
Jake needs to win. He's been there, what is his fourth year maybe? 1, 2, 3. This is maybe his fourth year. They've gone heavy portal. But listen, he's in a tough league and a tough division.
Coaches under pressure. It's a more interesting conversation. Steve Sarkisian at Texas.
Not yet.
Mike Norvell at Florida State.
Yes, but for the wrong reasons.
All right, we'll get to that in a second. Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M.
Yeah, rich people problems.
Mac Brown at North Carolina.
He's going to retire.
A guy who I love, man. I love David Shaw at Stanford. I mean, he's like if I were an AD, he would be on my list. If you said go get a guy, I might go get him.
It's kind of like Vandy, dude. I mean, like you people, it's tough to recruit there. They've done enough. Like, who are you going to get better than David Shaw?
I can't even imagine firing David Shaw. He's so sharp. I like him a bunch. Another one, Neal Brown at West Virginia. I think he's a really good coach.
Agree.
I mean, he's 17-18, 11-15 in the Big 12 during his 3 seasons at West Virginia.
Hey, let me.
But again, man, when you start in 2020 with all that COVID crap, I think you got to throw that out from an evaluation standpoint.
All right. So do you play? Do you or have you played poker before?
Not really. I mean, I've played some, but
could you play if you had to?
I would need a refresher before I got started.
All right. So if I made this thing on your board the other day, is you may get dumber by listening to this, but coaching football, coaches are a lot like poker players. And what I mean by this is if you go to the World Series of Poker, you got all these famous, considered the best poker players in the world.
Okay.
But when they have the World Series of Poker and there's 10,000 people playing in it, you never see Phil Hellmuth or Phil Ivey win the damn thing. Not anymore because there's so many people.
Okay.
All right. If you get dealt pocket aces every hand, guess what? You're going to win a lot of hands.
Yeah.
Now, the good ones can take pieces of shit.
Hey, Mom.
That's 3. And win a few more games and get a little bit more out of it. But you're at liberty of what kind of cards you have. And so how you develop players and recruit players, I know this is a shocker to everybody, but what league, as a journalist, if I asked you what league cheats the most, what would you say?
The SEC.
Hey, and if I ask you this, what league is the best in college football? What would you say?
The SEC.
Who cheats the second most?
The Big Ten.
Who's the second best league in the country?
The Sun Belt. The Big Ten.
Oh, but you get what I'm saying?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so a lot of times these coaches go places, they don't get dumber overnight. It's either the resources or the resources, you can take that anyway, and I'm not talking about facilities.
Well, Clark Lee's a good example.
Yeah.
Clark's a really good
Great
coach.
And, we got to get a new coach out of here. No, you don't need to get a new coach. You need to get better resources.
Yeah.
like if I had something to say to somebody, if I could go out, which I am now, just nobody's listening. All right, I hope nobody in the NCAA is listening. If I was an AD, it wouldn't be, hey, by gosh, we need to get a new football coach. It'd be, hey, by gosh, we need to get better resources, because you probably already got a good coach. Like Brian Harsin doesn't get to Auburn because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a good football coach. How about giving the guy the resources he needs to win? If that's really what you want to do. Hey, I got an idea.
Okay.
Instead of writing up, especially in today's world, we're going to talk legal here. If instead of paying us $19.3 million because you're pissed and you're upset about what happened, instead of writing us a check for $19.3 million to get his ass out of here, how about write me a check for $19.3 million to this collective, and let's see what happens to the football record.
Well, that's one of the things that's going to be interesting moving forward is when you take that money that are in these buyouts, someone will say, if we have that money laying around, if we put some of it in the collective, we just might make something happen.
If I ever miss something, you ask me every once in a while, hey, did you miss it? Let me tell you what I would miss. Because we were really good at the relationship part of the recruiting.
Yeah.
As good as you could get.
Yeah.
Well, give me some legal money. Let me go to work.
You think some recruiting battles would have changed?
I'd have had some Philadelphia Eagles on my team. What do you think about that? I played the game. I danced. Do you like that?
That's good.
That's a good little pirouette.
That's very good.
There's plenty of people in the Eagles.
Jalen Hurts is on the Eagles.
He is.
He's not who you were referencing.
No, he's not. Not even on the right side of the ball. You like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Been a little better at linebacker, you're saying?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, just at the end of the day, man, I mean, if you want, let's stop firing coaches. If you want to pay the money to fire them, put it in the collective. Let's see what happens. And I don't care who you are, because you don't get to this level being not a good football coach. There's too many, we've already jumped all of our hurdles, our growing pains.
Carl Durrell at Colorado, Justin Wilcox at Cal. I like Wilcox. I think he's pretty good.
Well, Cal's a very similar deal to Stanford. I think you got to be careful what you do there. They've bounced a couple out that didn't need to. I think Durrell at Colorado is fighting uphill battle this year.
Ryan Silverfield at Memphis is the other one.
Interesting. Look, my man Charles Clark is still at Memphis. I want them to do well. I pull from my buddies. I'll be interested to see. I think they got a big year for them. But, again, it hasn't been really long enough, right? I mean, give the guy another year at worst. But he's not doing bad. I mean, the guy's winning games. I
don't know what you can do there.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. He's kind of like the next guy that follows Saban. I mean, they literally, with Norvell, go to get a New Year's Six game, right? And now you're going to have to. I mean, you're replacing that at Memphis.
Well, no, like this says, it's one of the more coveted Group of 5 jobs. Is it
Memphis?
Yeah,
because of the money.
Okay,
paycheck.
He's 14-10, 8-8 in the AAC since taking over for Norvell,
which is a good league, by the way, for that Group of 5 league.
Why can't Norvell get it turned around at Florida State? What's going on there?
Big year. I don't know. The thing for me, and it wasn't just Norvell's before Norvell. They stopped when Jimbo left. Their recruiting took a weird turn.
Willie Taggart was 9-12. Norvell is 8-13 in 21 games.
It was recruiting, right? I mean, I remember when I was at Alabama, we would have these triggers that told us to evaluate a kid or whatever it was. Well, it was all the SEC schools. If any SEC school offered a kid, minus Vandy, it triggered an immediate evaluation. And then we added like Ohio State, Michigan, USC, and then Florida State was on that list. And they're not anymore. And something took a turn. It's almost like they went, I think Florida is one of those states, and I could be dead wrong, but Florida's kind of one of those states is, why are you leaving the state to go recruit? I mean, you have 380 to 420 kids a year coming out of there. If you can't find 25 out of 420 and you're an in-state school, it's kind of what happened with Texas. People can say what they want to. When Texas started going downhill is when they started recruiting out of state.
What's interesting about Norvell is there's that name that looms, right, at Florida State, Deion Sanders. And I'm just telling you, you've got people that You got people there that want to go there, and he has sold this narrative that look what I can recruit at Jackson State. Imagine what I could recruit at Florida State. I know it would be a disaster, but I'm just telling you, watch. If they get off to a really bad start, that buzz is going to come. It's coming.
Oh, wow.
Not me advocating for it. I'm just telling you that's going to happen. That's going to be a storyline this season. So you might as well start preparing to talk about it. If Florida State gets off to a bad start, we're going to be talking about the whole Deion thing. It's coming.
Yeah. Wow. I guess the best way to put this is when you're working at a smaller job, you don't have a microscope on you.
Yeah.
You go get every once in a while, I may or may not hear somebody talk about a group of 5 coach. And man, look at this job that they're doing. It's amazing. And I'm sitting there going,
just wait, right.
Because they could be cheating their ass off doing some things. There's a group of 5 coach that got a lot of credit for doing a really good job in coaching that broke so many NCAA rules and eligibility standards that we all knew it, but it's like, we're not going to play them. Who cares? And all good. But when you start going and you get at the bigger schools and, hey, that 20-hour-a-week rule, I mean, you got compliance coming around. There's a lot of things that you can't do that you're getting away with at your smaller school. And I'm not saying that with Deion, Coach Sanders. That's for you, Nick Suss. That's still, I think of that every time I say Nick Saban or Deion. Yeah, it's a totally different environment. It's not about, who's he recruited? He's recruited 2 kids, right? His son was one of them. And they recruited the Travis Hunter kid.
Yeah, Travis Hunter was the name I was trying to think of.
So, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't hire him. He's good where he's at.
All right, we're an hour and 10 in on a day where we have a hard stop.
What's our hard stop?
Hour 20? About 3:20. Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left. If you got, what else you want to get to today?
You want to talk about youth football coaches?
Sure.
Or we got, I'm just joking. Or we can talk about the playoff. Is that going to be longer than 10 minutes?
Let's tease both, and then that'll tease us into the Thursday show.
Yeah, so youth football coaches, you may or may not have seen my tweet on Saturday. I had was going to my son's scrimmage Saturday morning, parked, and there was a youth football team out there practicing on a different field, and I was just trying to enjoy my biscuit, Neal. I got a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit and threw a little grape jelly on it. It was really good. My nice cup of coffee. And there were 3 coaches, but you had they looked like they were 8 or 9-year-old kids. And they had a 20-yard split between the 2 kids, and they're running them head on into each other. And they have all this space. And then the guys out there trying to coach them up, and I'm like, hey, I came so close to getting out of my car, but I was like, I'm not going to be that guy. But there's you got to do, they were trying to show them how to form tackle. And that told me everything I needed to know, is because that guy right there, whoever's teaching them that, has never tackled anyone in space in their life. Because you can't form tackle someone with 60 feet of space in between the 2 of you.
So I'm of the opinion that tackle football below the age of 7th grade is somewhat unnecessary.
I used to not be on that team, okay?
Okay.
Every time I see one of these TikTok videos or Instagram videos, I literally saw one on Twitter. What reminded me of it? I saw one on my Twitter feed 5 minutes before we started the show of these guys. I don't even call them coaches anymore. They're hype men that want a video. First of all, if you're videoing that drill, if you're the guy that's videoing, you know what's about to happen. You know that this kid is about to run over another kid, and you're trying to get views or clicks.
And I just don't understand why you would use kids as pawns like that.
That's the point. Is they don't. They're like, oh, well, I got my bell rung when I was that age. Sure, you did, but that doesn't make it right. 2 wrongs don't make it right.
That's my point.
And if you want to teach kids, I battle it at my house. Okay, as good as the game of football has been to me, all right, and my wife knows everything we have, every asset that we have in our life is because of the game of football. She met me when I was a player.
Sure.
Every dollar I have ever made in this sport has come, we've been together.
Sure.
Every penny.
Sure.
And as much as she knows that, I have to battle her for my 14-year-old to play football. I've had to battle the whole time. I am convinced, you learn as you get older in your kids, I'm convinced that my oldest son doesn't like sports because I made him play football when we were in Tuscaloosa. And he played for one of these guys. And it ruined it for him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be a coach, and if you're a high school coach listening, which we have a lot because I got a couple text messages the other day, I think you should go to your youth, maybe have it in the summertime, bring all your youth coaches in and teach them how to coach the coaches, and teach them the drills that's going to make the kids better. Because that right there is.
But wouldn't you rather, as a running a high school program, wouldn't you rather they just all wait till they get to the 7th grade, where you can start teaching fundamentally at that point?
Yeah, I think.
You're protecting the kids also at that point.
Yeah, I used to be this big proponent against flag football. I used to be this big proponent because I don't like the way it teaches you to stop your feet at contact, because that's how you get hurt in football.
Right.
If you stop at the point of contact when you get older, you're going to get your ass hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to run through contact.
Right.
And so I hate the fact that you settle your feet. It teaches you bad habits, but at the same time, you're not getting any good habits. And I should say this.
That's what I mean.
This is not all youth football coaches. Some of them do
not.
a great job, and I know I wanted to say that because I know how much you hate being collected in. But
sure.
But the more and more I see is like every time I watch a practice, it's like I want to pull my hair out. I'm like, you're ruining that kid's experience playing the game, and you wonder why numbers are down.
And numbers are way down.
Numbers are down.
Numbers are way down.
And it's a great game, man. It is a great game. And I can't – and I started playing at a young age, and I was fine. But also, if you can't tell by the 8th episode of this podcast, I'm a little messed up. I'm a different bird, okay? But and normal people probably would not have made it this far, all right? Like, I'm a little messed up. Like, I like pain, okay? I don't know if you knew that. I enjoy pain.
That explains some things.
It does explain some things. Like, I love contact, man. I mean, I love it. I mean, I could go right now. I mean, I'm down. I mean, I'm with it.
Don't come hit me right now.
No,
I got a lot of stuff going on right here, and it would break. And
yeah, but when you're doing that stuff with those kids, like not every kid's wired like that. Now you can see at that age, you can tell the crazy kids, okay, but not every kid's wired like that. How about
and not every good football player is crazy. There's a lot of
100% accurate.
A lot of really good football players, including guys who play defense, who are not nuts.
Correct. Now you got plenty of them. That's probably 50-50. But when you get in, you know who those guys are. The same guy gets a targeting call every time. Do you know who my favorite one was? It was an Ole Miss guy I love to this day, Trey Elston. That dude. He loved him. I mean, he was a targeting call waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I love me some Trey Elston. I mean, I really do. Him and Cody Pruitt we had here.
Trey has joked about how the targeting rules would have.
I remember like his freshman year, he got thrown out like
the UTEP game.
Yeah, it was like week 2.
Yeah,
and he had to miss the Texas game.
Yeah,
but I really he's wired. Trey and probably not coincidence. Trey and I drank the same water, so we're from the same area. So
yeah,
probably both a little messed up a little bit. But
all right, the other thing we're going to tease is the playoff. There seems to be at least momentum out there in the periphery about, hey, when we go to this playoff thing, which is inevitable, don't do 12, do 16.
I've been saying it from the jump. I don't know, and I have video evidence now or audio evidence. You can go back to when they started mentioning this. I have been 16 from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a different 16.
Okay.
I have a different plan.
All right, we'll
get into that.
We'll tease
next
this.
Time.
Yeah, you have a different plan that involves. I think we can build an entire show around it on Thursday.
That's scary.
There will be some other things, but I have some. I generally agree with you, but I do have some reservations. So we can.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a good podcast.
So we will talk about that on Thursday. We'll get back with you Thursday afternoon with episode 9 of McCready and Siskey. Thanks to everybody for being in the stream. Again, thanks to Rain. Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, 0 sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and to achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. Hit them up in their DMs on Instagram, Twitter. Make sure you tell them you appreciate them sponsoring this show, making it possible. We sure do. And everybody likes to hear that they're appreciated. So
keep buying rain. My man Bob at Monster is fired up.
Good.
He's fired up.
That's the point.
18%, man. That's a big jump in 4 weeks.
That's absolutely awesome. So we'll be back on Thursday with another edition of McCready and Siskey. Until then, you guys take care.